I'd like to bring in Rina Shah, founder of Relax Strategies and political strategist. Shah was a former senior congressional aide for two Republican congresspersons. Rina, let's just get started where Senator Kim left off. What type of political liability does this bill have for Republicans looking forward to the midterm elections?
I know we're over a year and a half out from the midterms of 2026, but electorally speaking, Republicans will be on the chopping block, and particularly the ones who are red members of big blue states. You know, this puts the moderate Republicans in a place where they never wanted to be. And let me remind our audience here that just about a month ago, the House passed this same bill that's sitting in consideration in the Senate, a little bit different version, of course, because the Senate parliamentarian changed it, but it was only passed with one vote, a majority there. And that is unbelievable for Speaker Johnson. He's going to have a real test when this bill passes in the Senate and gets ping-ponged back to him. There are House members right now who are livid about this version in the Senate, and it's not going to be super easy. So again, if this Senate bill version passes, we can expect a lot of turmoil in the House next week. It's going to get contentious.
But how do you talked about the notion of moderate Republicans being placed in a difficult position, but what about conservative budget hawk Republicans who really do not believe in increasing the federal deficit? Even if you're going by the more conservative estimate of some $400 million being added, $400 billion being added to the deficit and not the $4 trillion that OMB estimates, that's still a lot of money that it seems like those budget hawks would not want to spend, but yet they may find themselves voting for it. How are you going to reconcile that messaging to your constituents who you promised to decrease the actual federal deficit to?
It's a tough moment when you know that these members are going to have to do mental acrobatics to justify a really tough vote. You know, I've walked the halls of Congress on the Republican side, and I know how difficult this moment is for a lot of these members. And it's a true test of where they are fiscally speaking, right? Do they want to see the federal government do more, or do they want to say this is about trust and accountability? Right now, you have Republicans sitting in Washington saying this isn't about slashing Medicaid to hurt the vulnerable. This is simply about putting in work requirements, therefore making our government more transparent and accountable with our federal dollars. That only works so far, Charles. I think at the end of the day, what we're looking at is Trump saying you're either with me or you're not with me. And in this moment, I'm seeing MAGA 1 or MAGA 2. MAGA 1 says we have complete loyalty to you, Donald Trump. We'll do whatever you say. MAGA 2 is over here saying, hey, look, we're concerned about the federal government's spending. Either you're spending too much or you're cutting too little. We really don't know where people sit, but we do know where people like Senator Rand Paul sit. And we do know where Congressman Thomas Massie sits. And they sit in the crosshairs of Trump. Again, somebody like Congressman Massie, who Trump is already saying he wants to primary.
Is it possible that a victory here could be a win for Trump and a loss for the party, Rina?
Without a doubt, that's what a lot of GOP operatives are looking at this moment as. If you're like me, you hate megabills like this. You think they're really messy and they don't need to be passed like so. I actually am on the side of Senator Chuck Schumer having this bill read on the floor right now, even though it's taking about 15 hours approximately. I think about 20% of bills get a public hearing, and the American people need to know what's in there, particularly when you're talking about reshaping America's fiscal future when it comes to massive things like healthcare. Just this past week, we saw the Supreme Court hold preventative care provisions from the Affordable Care Act. But in the next moment, in this next week, we're probably going to see a lot of the Affordable Care Act gutted because of Medicaid. And I, for example, coming from West Virginia, understand that Medicaid, though it's an imperfect program, this is not the way to revamp it. So many vulnerable Americans, millions of them, over 10 million, I believe, who are Medicare recipients, rely on Medicaid too. It's government's job, the federal government's job, to make sure those people aren't left high and dry and without care.
That was Rina Shah of Relax Strategies. Thank you for getting us started on another hour of Velshi. And still